Oh, God. Being a young progressive is a symptom of mental illness. So, yeah, I want to address this. It is 100% the correct strategy. I've been advocating for this. We are experiencing unprecedented attacks on trans people, trans workers, and youth in this country and in the United States. We recently had a massive 1 million March for Children. It's like Freedom Convoy, Trucker Convoy, MAGA movement, January 6th people adjacent to all that shit. It's a movement of people who are convinced that teachers are castrating children and forcing boys to wear dresses, imposing gender ideology, grooming our children, as it were, to make it easier to sexually assault them. It's a completely insane movement, a complete attack on trans workers and youth, as well as teachers' unions, in order to justify gutting public education across the board. Making kids use litter boxes, that's another one. Which it turns out, there are buckets with litter boxes in classrooms because of mass shooters. And in the event of a lockdown, when classrooms are locked for 7-8 hours during a shooting, when the police stand around outside staring at their phones for hours on end, the litter acts as an emergency bathroom, basically. So, yeah, in unprecedented attacks, not unprecedented, I think the AIDS crisis was pretty bad too. In a renewed assault on the rights of trans workers and youth, we're seeing this across the board. And the unfortunate case was in the protest that I went to, at least 50% of that crowd was Muslim, condemning gender ideology as a, quote unquote gender ideology. It was extraordinarily unfortunate. However, once hostilities broke out in Gaza, once the genocide was ramped up, the Million March for Children completely fell apart because it was a lot of Muslim leaders were running it, and now the far right completely fractured along Israel or Palestine. The far right, the MAGA trucker convoy folks, uncritically support Israel. A lot of them are Christian nationalists and Christian fundamentalists who believe that, all Jews have to return to Israel. That's why we need an Israeli state in order for Jesus to return. A lot of them just hate Muslims, and they relish at the extermination of Muslim people in the Middle East. So, yeah, it fractured. The far right's completely fractured right now. And I'm saying this is the perfect time to go on the offensive. LGBTQ people have to stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine. They're both being lied about by the media. They're both being gaslit. Our politicians have completely turned on them. Both our Muslim community and our queer community. These are lines that we can unite along. If Muslims see pride flags in support of Palestine, there might just be a few of them that'll be like, maybe these folks aren't so bad, right? Because, the unfortunate, uncomfortable truth is a lot of Muslim organizations do harbor a lot of anti-LGBTQ beliefs, right? But then again, so did the miners. Those of you who've seen the movie Pride is a perfect example of this. The miners were very uncomfortable with gays and lesbians descending on their community. And no one raised more money for them, for the miners to keep their lights on, keep their kids fed. No one raised more money than the LGBTQ of the cities. And what happened? The miners saw the solidarity that was shown their way. The miners showed up to 1985 Pride in London to show their thanks. And the Labour Party enshrined the rights of LGBTQ people into their constitution. The deciding vote was the miners' unions. So there is power in a union, and there is power in solidarity. And this is why it is so important that queers show up for Palestine. But Palestine has no civil rights laws that protect LGBT people from discrimination nor harassment. Well, that's most of the Middle East, right? Israel doesn't have legal gay marriage either. And Israel's normalizing relations with Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, right? And no one objected to that then. No one objected to that on that basis. So that argument doesn't really mean anything.